A woman walked into the police station around midnight. She looked slightly disheveled and disoriented as well. She asked the police if she was able to make a phone call because there was a family problem going on. When the police asked her what was going on in an attempt to help the woman, she simply told them, "I don't want to talk about it." Hours later, her, along with her 6-year-old stepdaughter, were reported as missing. Welcome back. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. First of all, I want to start off by saying thank you all again so much for supporting this channel as we are quickly approaching 9,000 subscribers. It really means a lot to me. So the case I have for you today is very disturbing, and it shows what can happen when revenge and jealousy goes way too far. What one woman did to a little girl because of her own insecurities is just heart-wrenching. This is the story of Bella Fontenelle. Bella Elena Fontenelle was born on January 30th, 2017, to her father, Michael Fontenelle, and her mother, Jennifer Zeledin. Bella was a beautiful, funny, and kind little girl. She loved Disney princesses and playing dress-up. She also loved riding her bike and playing with her big sister. Bella was a kindergartner at St. Matthew the Apostle School in River Ridge, Louisiana. Now, Bella's parents, Michael and Jennifer, had never actually been married. They'd begun dating in college around 2013. And during the time they were together, they had 2 beautiful daughters, Bella, who was the youngest, and her sister, who was a year older than her, Aria. They'd ended their relationship in 2019, and Jennifer said this split was due to Michael's mental, emotional, and physical abuse. Their breakup was ugly and filled with so much tension that Jennifer and Michael said they communicated only through a co-parenting app. Once the two went their separate ways, they would end up living just a few streets away from one another in Harahan, Louisiana, which is a suburb of New Orleans. A few months after their split in October of 2019, Michael met a woman named Hannah Landon. He crossed paths with her while she was working as a stripper by the name of Valentina at a local gentleman's club called the Crazy Horse Cabaret in Baton Rouge. Hannah also goes by the aliases Bunak Landon and Bunak Lim. Prior to this, Hannah had been married, and she had 2 sons. However, in 2019, she had dropped her children off with a woman who worked as a teacher's assistant, and that woman later adopted the children. Not long after they began dating, Michael would move Hannah into an apartment that he paid for. Then in 2020, Hannah quit her job and began helping him care for Bella and Aria. So Michael asked her to come live with them at their home on Donnellan Drive. Now, it wasn't long until Hannah started to become jealous of Michael's ex, Jennifer. She was also very jealous of his 2 daughters, Bella and Aria, and the love that he had for them. Because of all this jealousy, Hannah made it a point to make it look like her, Michael, Bella, and Aria were a very close and loving family. She would dress identical to the girls, a lot, and not just for the holidays, but for many pictures and occasions. Now, family friends thought this was kind of odd because Hannah wasn't the girls' real mother, and their real mother was very much involved in their lives. And all of this was just for show, because her relationship with the girls was not as close as she was making it out to be. In fact, Bella had at one point told a school counselor that she did not like going to her father's house, and that Hannah was mean to her and her sister. Even Michael's mother, Barbara Fontenelle, was not a huge fan of Hannah. In fact, his entire family found Hannah to be strange and unsettling, they said. She wasn't close to anyone in Michael's family, despite the 2 having been together for years. And since Hannah was jealous of Jennifer, needless to say, those 2 didn't get along either. It seems like Hannah really didn't get along with anybody in Michael's life. So it seems like Hannah really didn't like anybody that Michael came in contact with. It sounds like she was very controlling and wanted to be the only person in his life. Now, I don't know this for sure, but that's what it sounds like to me. And why Michael didn't see that sooner and realize maybe she was a good actress. It's believed that due to the persistent conflict that Hannah was having with Jennifer, Hannah would take out her anger on Bella. So it doesn't say that she was actually physical towards her, but it sounds like it was more of like an emotionally and mentally type of, Coincidentally, Bella was also the one who most closely resembled her mother. Then there was an incident on June 8th, 2021 that led to a physical altercation between Hannah and the girl's biological mom. That day, Jennifer, Hannah, Michael, Bella, Aria, and Jennifer's sister, Evelyn Zellenden, were attending Bella and Aria's swim meets at the Riverside Country Club in Harahan. Jennifer approached her daughters to give them hugs and congratulate them on a job well done. But then Hannah intervened and grabbed one of the girls from Jennifer. It would not let Jennifer hug her own daughter. Yeah, that'd be the day. Hannah started going off on Jennifer about how it was Michael's custody day and that's why she couldn't see them. She was simply trying to talk to her daughters and hug them. She wasn't trying to take them anywhere. And even if she was, Jennifer and Michael had joint custody. So if it was okay with Michael, she could have taken them. So in order to end the conflict, Michael told Hannah to let Jennifer hug her own daughter for 1 minute. Hannah agreed. Not that it matters, because I don't care if you agree. I'm hugging my own daughter. Get out of the way. So since Hannah agreed to let Jennifer get a hug from her own daughter, she decided she was going to take out her cell phone and start recording Jennifer. Jennifer's sister Evelyn put her hand in front of the camera and told her to stop recording. Well, Hannah didn't like this and slapped Evelyn's hand away. Evelyn told Hannah to never touch her again, at which point Hannah decided to do the exact opposite and grab Evelyn's hair and start yanking it. Evelyn reciprocated and started yanking on Hannah's hair. A bystander ended up stepping in and breaking up the quarrel. The police were called and both women were pulled aside and interviewed separately. Hannah was described as being extremely uncooperative, and she kept blaming Jennifer and Evelyn for everything that happened. Of course she did. Hannah's version of the story was that she was simply getting one of the girls out of the pool, and Evelyn came up to her, grabbed her by the shoulder, spun Hannah around, and then attacked her, completely unprovoked. Hannah said it was then that she pulled out her phone to record, but she wasn't sure if she caught anything. She also would not provide the video to police. It's also to be noted that Hannah would not give police officers any of her personal information until she was threatened with charges. She at first lied to officers. When they asked her for her phone number, she said she didn't have a phone, which directly contradicted her telling them that she took out her phone to record this all happening. She also told them that people just got in contact with her via email. Oh, okay. So they asked her, just to humor her, I'm sure, what Michael's phone number was. She told them that Michael also did not have a phone. They said, well, whose phone did we just see him using earlier? To which she said, oh, I don't know. Hannah received a summons for simple battery due to this incident. And at that time, Hannah decided that she was going to file a temporary restraining order against Jennifer and her sister Evelyn. In order to obtain the restraining order, Hannah had claimed that Jennifer had threatened her many times, as well as assaulted her. She also noted a second altercation that happened on March 17th, 2021. On that day, the women were attending a children's soccer game. Hannah claimed that Jennifer approached her, grabbed her by the wrist, pulled her in close, and told her, I will hurt you. Hannah said that she approached her a second time during the same soccer game and again grabbed her and threatened her. The temporary restraining order was denied by a judge on August 5th, 2021, as there were no grounds to prove any of the things that Hannah was claiming. So that takes us to April of 2023. Michael, who's a certified public accountant and was in the middle of tax season, was extremely busy at work, and he was working up until 10 p.m. some nights. So on the evening of April 25th, Bella and Aria's grandmother brought the two girls to visit their father at work so they could spend some time with him that day. Afterwards, she brought the girls back home, and Hannah was the one that was waiting there for them. So by the time that Michael got home that night, he was overworked and exhausted, and he ended up falling asleep on the living room couch. So it wasn't until the next morning when he woke up on Wednesday, April 26th, that he noticed that Hannah and Bella were nowhere to be seen. He hadn't noticed that they also were not there the night before since he had fallen asleep so quickly. He also could not get a hold of Hannah on her cell phone. So Michael went down to the police station and filed a missing persons report for both of them around 7:30 a.m. A search of the area ensued. The police first went to Michael's house, and they didn't see anything there, no evidence, no trace of them. So next, they decided to go to Bella's biological mother's house, Jennifer. And while they were there, they saw something very strange on the front lawn. And this strange thing was a white 10-gallon bucket just sitting there. And Jennifer said that it had not been there previously. And when police looked in this bucket, they found the most unsettling and gruesome discovery. There was Bella's little body, all scrunched up into the fetal position, inside of this small 10-gallon bucket. Around midnight the previous night, apparently Hannah had gone to the police station, and she looked disheveled and confused, and asked the police if she could make a phone call because she was having some kind of family problem. When they asked her what kind of family problem, trying to help her, she told them she did not want to talk about it. The police noticed that nothing Hannah was saying was really making sense, so they decided to call EMS and bring her to the hospital so that she could get a mental health evaluation done. So around 2 p.m., police went to the hospital where Hannah was. They had not made the connection that the woman from the night previous and the missing woman were the same person. And I'm guessing this was probably because she had aliases, but I'm not sure why they did not connect the dots there. Hannah was placed under arrest at the hospital, and she was charged with first-degree murder as well as obstruction of justice. She was booked into the Jefferson Parish Correctional Center, and she was put on a watch to make sure she didn't try to get rid of herself, so to speak. Both of Bella's biological parents had been questioned and cleared of any involvement. So why was Hannah arrested and charged, you ask? Well, police had spoken to people who lived in the same neighborhood as Jennifer to see if any of them had home surveillance. They happened to find a resident who had a Ring doorbell camera, and his Ring doorbell camera caught something. So as you can see in this footage, Hannah's walking down the sidewalk at 9:35 p.m. with a calm eeriness as if she were just transporting a load of groceries. She's pulling a wagon, and in the wagon is the chlorine bucket. The same chlorine bucket that was found on Jennifer's lawn with Bella's body in it. She was acting like this was no big deal to be walking down the sidewalk like that. And it was pretty early in the night, too. It's not like it was the middle of the night. It was only 9:30. And nobody said they saw anything. So luckily, the Ring doorbell had caught it. After Hannah had left Bella's body behind in the 10-gallon bucket, she then returned the wagon to Michael's home and put her cell phone into a plastic bag and buried it nearby. It's said that investigators are still looking at Hannah's phone, but it's also said that Hannah had searched for defense lawyers on her phone prior to her arrest. Not that any further proof of this murder is needed, in my opinion. It's believed that Bella was manually strangulated while in her father's home before being contorted and shoved into the small 10-gallon bucket that was then transported to her mother's house. Even though there was no motive revealed, the most likely cause is that Hannah was jealous, didn't like Bella, or wanted to get revenge on Jennifer. She very clearly put the bucket on Bella's mother's front lawn, like she wanted her to be the one to discover her daughter like that. Hannah was arraigned in August of this year for her charge of first-degree murder as well as her 2 charges of obstruction of justice. At that time, she pled not guilty. In July of 2024, Hannah was found competent to stand trial, and that trial would later be scheduled to start in April of 2025. When that time finally came, Hannah's defense attorney said that his client was mentally ill, and she didn't know right from wrong when she killed Bella. However, the district attorney told jurors that not only did she know what she had done was wrong, but Hannah had also taken steps in the hours leading up to Bella's death to protect herself. Hannah had Googled criminal defense attorneys 16 times and sent text messages to former coworkers telling them to, quote, remember me as Valentina. She then deleted the messages and buried her phone. The district attorney said, she's not insane, she's evil, and there's a difference. Prosecutors would play video of 6-year-old Bella happily scooting across the floor of a room just hours before she was killed. The DA would say, this is what a 6-year-old's life should look like. She had no idea that in about an hour, Hannah was going to kill her. She pried the hands of Landon off her neck. She was beaten over the head so bad. She was breathing still and put in that bucket. Landon didn't care what she did. She is just evil. Bella's mother, Jennifer, would testify during the trial, and she would say that her sweet and happy daughter started to change shortly after Michael began dating Hannah. Bella began frequently complaining of stomach aches, was crying uncontrollably at school, and suffered from anxiety fueled by the thought of having to spend time at her father's house. This was quite the contrary to what Michael had testified. He said that Bella, Aria, and Hannah all got along fairly great. Bella had told relatives, school staff, and a therapist that Miss Hannah was mean, but she said that she had never physically hurt her. The day before she was killed, the little girl had finally opened up to her mother and father about the way that Hannah was treating her during a therapy session. This was the first time that either parent had heard from their daughter that she was having issues with Hannah. But when Michael further pressed Bella for specific details about what his girlfriend was doing, she just shut down. Michael said that he had then told Hannah about this therapy session, and he threatened to reassess their relationship if he heard any more complaints from Bella. He said that Hannah had reacted nonchalantly to this information. Michael also testified that he had been fighting in the afternoon with Hannah the same day that Bella was killed. Their argument was over Hannah using a wagon to pull mulch around outside, the same wagon that would later be used to transport Bella's body to her mother's front lawn. Michael didn't want Hannah using this wagon because it was special to him, as he used it to make a float for his daughter's school Mardi Gras parade. A forensic psychologist named Sarah Deland, who had evaluated Hannah 13 times following her arrest, testified for the defense. She said that Hannah had consistently stated that she could not remember what had happened to Bella that day. Dr. Deland said that Hannah had described how she hugged the bucket containing the little girl's body, but she couldn't remember exactly how she had gotten inside. Hannah also told the doctor that at one point she played some Frank Sinatra and held Bella in her arms to comfort her. The psychologist informed the court that even though Hannah had reported having hallucinations, she showed no signs of schizophrenia. Instead, the doctor believed that Hannah suffered from PTSD, depression, and possibly narcissistic personality traits. I'd say the last one is definitely true. Bella's older sister would also testify during the trial. She said that Miss Hannah would send Bella to timeout for no reason, even when she cried, and she added that Bella often told her that Miss Hannah was mean. The little girl then said that on April 25th, 2023, she and her sister had spent the afternoon with their grandmother, Barbara Fontenelle. She'd picked them up from school, brought them to McDonald's, then to the library, and finally dropped them back off at their dad's house. There, Barbara read them a story after their showers. Bella's sister said that Bella started to cry in her room, So their grandmother went in to check on her and to read her another story. After that, Barbara left, and Bella's sister said that she went to sleep. But it wasn't long after that she was woken up by Hannah saying that she was going to Florida. The little girl told her, okay, then went back to sleep. Bella's sister also told the jury how Hannah would act like a child and pretend to be different ages. Multiple detectives would take the stand, and they testified about finding Bella in the chlorine bucket. The bucket and the wagon that had been used to transport her body were brought into court and shown to the jury. They were also presented with photos of blood-stained towels found in Michael's washing machine and blood on the exterior wall of his home near the backyard pool. The court additionally heard from some of Bella's teachers. Her pre-K teacher testified that Bella was a sweet, caring child, but she began showing signs of nervousness and anxiety in the classroom. She would twirl her hair into knots, roll her dress, and ask for hugs regularly. The teacher said that Bella would often ask her which parent's house she was going to next, and she would tell her that she did not want to go with Dad and Hannah. Bella would often have panic attacks at school too. She would ball herself up, sit against the wall, cry, and try to calm down. Bella had at one point told her teacher, "Hannah hurts me. I can't get a drink. I have to ask for one. I just want to be with my mom." At the end of her trial, Hannah Landon was found guilty of murdering 6-year-old Bella Fontenelle and dumping her body on her mother's front lawn. She was later sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She did not get the death penalty, largely due to Bella's family's wishes. During Hannah's sentencing, the judge told her, "This court never wants you to see the light of day again." When victim impact statements were read, Bella's mother read a letter from the little girl's older sister, Aria. It said, "To me, Bella wasn't just my sister. She was my best friend. I always saw my future growing with a mini-me, but that was taken away because of you. My little sister was the most special person to me, but now she is even more special because she is my own guardian angel. Someday I will forgive you because I want to be in heaven with Bella." Bella's principal at St. Matthew's canceled classes for the rest of the week after Bella's body was found. They also offered counseling for the students and teachers at her school. Bella is greatly missed by all of the faculty and students alike. They said that she was a kind and caring little girl who had the best smile. Bella Fontenelle was laid to rest on May 5th, 2023. Her services were held at St. Matthew the Apostle Church. Everyone in attendance wore at least a small amount of red, as it was Bella's favorite color. She was then buried at an undisclosed location. Well, thank you for listening to all of Bella's story today. Why do you think that Hannah did it? Personally, I think it's a little bit of jealousy because of the affection their father had for the girls. A little bit of jealousy that the girls loved their biological mother more. And I think it was a little bit of revenge on Jennifer as well. I think it was a little bit of all those three things combined, and she just lost it. No matter what the motive, it's disgusting and incomprehensible how somebody could do this to an innocent little girl. And I will keep you updated on any new information that I see on this case, because I really want to know what else was going on in this woman's head. What made her actually do this? Because this is just a horrendous thing to do. And for what reason? It's a stupid reason. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out on patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims are never forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a story you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email to awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.